Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. We have the honor to have invited Representative Jing Wu to give us some education about alien land bills, alien land laws. So we have Hao Kang as the moderator, and we have received a lot of support from our host organizations, all of our volunteers in different groups. So before we start, just some basic rules. For everyone in the audience, feel free to post your questions using the question and the answer button. And also feel free to chime in the chat as well. We have volunteers to monitor the chat and the question and answers, making sure if you have questions, you post it so you can get into the line. We can get those questions answered after Jean's presentation. First of all, I would like to invite the host organizations to provide a brief overview of their organization. All of these organizations are in the community groups, help raise awareness about bills in Ohio, House Bill 1 and Senate Bill 88. And also they are the organizers and the co-organizers for the rally on September 27th. First of all, I'd like to invite AACO Hong to introduce AACO.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Can you guys hear me? All
Yes.
right, sounds good. Good evening, everybody. My name is Hong Chiu. I am the Youth Program Chair of AACO. AACO stands for Asian American Coalition of Ohio. We are a grassroots organization founded in 2017. So we are a 501c3 with a goal, with a mission to educate, engage, and empower the Asian American, Native Hawaiian Pacific Islanders in Ohio to participate in all aspects of the American society. So some of our key programs are to educate and engage the community, to develop youth leadership, to run public internships, and also to to educate the community. So some of our really proud moments are during the anti-Asian hate. We organize across the state events to unite the community against anti-Asian hate. And then recently we have done a huge amount of work to really unite the community to fight against the passage of HB1 and SB 88. So with that, I would like to encourage everybody to really spend the time to learn about the current issues and become engaged and participate in the fight to, that's going to, for our community. Thank you.
Hong, I would like to invite Hong Mei Li, President of Aware Ohio, please.
Hi, my name is Hong Mei Li. I'm president and a founding member of Aware Ohio, which stands for Advocacy and Workshops for Asian American Rights and Empowerment. And this is an organization that was newly funded. Actually, it was funded this year. And so we have identified dual missions for this organization. So on the one hand, internally, we want to build consensus and identity by conducting workshops, educational forums, and as well as like a civic engagement activities, and so that we reach consensus about what we should do. And at the same time, we want to increase the knowledge of community members about the U.S. Constitution, civic engagement, history, Asian American history, and our rights, and so on. And so on the other hand, we want really to do a lot of coalition building with other organizations, and so that we are not going to fight alone. So when we really fight, and then we are fighting for everybody. And so that's what we really plan to do. And so our main goal is really to conduct a lot of education-related activities, and so that the communities and our communities and our other communities are aware of our challenges and our rights, and as well as various struggles that we are fighting for, as well as various activities that we're engaged in. But so we really encourage everybody to be involved in our future forums and workshops. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hongmei. Well, I'd like to invite Grace Lan, Program Director for OCA, to speak a few words.
Thank you, Vincent. Good evening, everyone. The Ohio Chinese American Association is a nonpartisan nonprofit founded in 2016 in response to the rising racial profiling and targeting of Chinese Americans. From day one, our mission has been to unite Chinese Americans across Ohio, raise awareness of civil rights, and encourage full participation in American society together with our allies. In just 9 years, we were co-hosted candidate forums reaching nearly 4,000 people. Also, we delivered 15,000 meals to first responders, seniors, and shelters. And we also made more than 150,000 phone calls, encouraging the AAPI voters to take part in our democracy. But of course, we're part of this fight against the property bill. So all this demonstrates the power of our community. I invite you to join us in building a stronger and a more inclusive future together. Thank you.
Thanks, Grace. Now I'd like to invite Lisa Wang, President of OCA Greater Cleveland.
Hello. Thank you for the invite. OCA Greater Cleveland is the local chapter of a national organization. We are a membership-driven organization of community advocates. We are dedicated to advancing the social, political, and economic well-being of Asian Pacific Americans, especially in Northeast Ohio. We do a lot of civic engagement work. We work with, we're multicultural, multi-generational, and we're trying to make sure our community exercises their right to vote and to be civically engaged. And even those who are not U.S. citizens, we still encourage them to participate and to work with those who are U.S. citizens and to get the word out. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. So we also had Care Ohio, their executive director had a last-minute conflict. She's not able to make it, and we'll try to find another opportunity for her to speak. And she did speak on the June 24th rally. So thanks again, OCA, Justice for Ohio, Care Ohio, Aware Ohio. Please keep up the great work, and looking forward to seeing you at the rally. Now I'd like to introduce our moderator today, Paul Kang. Paul is a community leader. Let me put up the slide. We do have a slide for Paul. Okay. Paul is a community leader and advocate committed to advancing the equity, civic leadership, and youth leadership in Ohio and nationwide for the past dozen years. She currently serves as the president of Justice Ohio, and also she's the president of the Cincinnati office of the Asian American Coalition of Ohio. She has spearheaded a lot of advocacy efforts at the city, state, and national level, and she has a lot of dedication to building coalitions among different community groups and ensuring all community members have a voice at the decision-making desk. She's passionate about cultivating the next generation leadership, especially among AAPI youth groups. She founded the public service youth internship program in Cincinnati area that helps connect Asian Pacific American young leaders to be engaged in government, in policy, in advocacy, and nonprofit work. She also used that program to provide a hands-on experience platform for our youth generations to really practice what democracy look like in America. So she has generated a lot of young leaders that went on to become the leader in their college, in their local community, and in youth groups. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Paul Khan. Please turn on the camera.
Hi, Vincent. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much for the great introduction. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you to all of the audience. Today is a Sunday night. You could be anywhere, but you choose to be us. So I'm very thankful. So today is my great honor to introduce you Texas State Representative Jing Wu. From the very beginning, Jing has stood with the Texans in the fight against SB 17, never wavering in his commitment. I'm always inspired by his passion for serving the community and his deep passion to social justice. We know Jing is very busy, and we're truly grateful that he has taken his time to be with us today to share what he has accomplished and why this fight must continue. Let me share some background of Jing so we can get to know him a little bit better. State Representative Jing Wu proudly served the people of District 137 in the Texas House. Prior to being elected in 2012, he served as a prosecutor in the Harris County District Attorney's Office, where he sought justice for thousands of crime victims. Jing is currently an attorney in private practice. Since being elected state representative, Jing has maintained a focus on improving the life of Texas children. Jing has authored numerous pieces of legislation supporting greater justice for juveniles, specifically fighting the school to prison pipeline and passing comprehensive CBS reform. Jing has also been appointed to the Texas Access to Justice Commission and the Texas State Children Fatality Review Team. Now in his seventh term, Jing has appointed vice chair of the House Committee of Criminal Jurisprudence. He also served on the House Permanent Standing Subcommittee on Juvenile Justice, the Committee on Redistricting, and on the Preparation Committee. Outside his legislative work, Jing remained active and involved in the Houston community. Jing has currently served on community advocacy organization boards, such as the OCA Greater Houston Advisory Board, the Chinese Community Center Advisory Board, the Baker Raleigh Neighborhood Center Advocacy Committee. As attorney, Jing served as a guardian ad litem representing minors in court in either criminal or CPS cases. Additionally, Jing is passionate in supporting young people becoming active in civic role and is proud advocate for the AAPI community across Texas and the nation. Jing grew up in southwest Houston neighborhood of Sharpstown. He earned his Bachelor of Science degree from Texas A&M University and a master's degree from LBJ School for Public Affairs at the University of Texas in Austin, and a law degree from South Texas College of Law in Houston. Jing and his wife Mia reside in southwest Houston. They are the proud parents of two sons, Winston and Lyndon. Now join me in welcome Representative Jing Wu. Jing, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Al. I think that's a very long intro. I appreciate it. I think, how about this? The only thing that you really need to know about me is that I'm a father of two really wonderful boys. And this is why it's important here, because when we do all this stuff, when we talk about all the work that I've done, all the work that everyone else has done, what we're doing it for is for the future. You know, I don't really care what happens to me, but I care a lot about what happens for my children. I cannot be president. I was born in China. I am not allowed to be president, but my children were born here, and I want a world where they're treated as equals and that they have the same opportunities as everyone else. So that's really why I'm here. That's why I'm here on a Sunday night talking to Ohio, because I want our country to go back to the way it was. I want to go back to a country when Chinese people were not considered second class, when we were not treated as enemies, and we were treated as hostile. And I want us to have a future in this country again. And if we do not fight back against this stuff, what I will show you is that it will get worse. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Oops. Okay. Give me 1 second. Let me move some stuff around. Okay. So this is a trimmed down version of a much larger presentation, and I'm not going to hit everything just because we have a limited time, and I want to allow more time for people to answer questions. If you have listened to this presentation before, not a lot has changed from it, except that I keep saying that we're fighting against the passage of these bills. Many of the times now, we're going to talk about the bills that we talked about are already passed. They have already been passed into law. We first started fighting this law, it was SB 17 this time, it was SB 147 last time, and you know, we were starting to fight that in about 2022, and they finally passed it this last legislative session, you know, because they put in a lot more effort, like 4 times more effort. So this is just a very broad overview, but some of the things I really want to bring to your attention. One of the biggest problems that we have in the Asian community, in the Chinese community, when we talk about fighting for the future, when we talk about fighting for survival, is that people do not know the history. People here, people who are coming as immigrants, do not know the history of our people in America. If you knew our history, if you knew the things that were done to us in the past, you would be more pissed off. You would be more scared about what is coming, because what is coming is a repeating of what has happened in the past, right? So this idea that we're going to use the law to keep Chinese people out of this country is not new. It has been done before. The same law that is being passed, is going to be passed in Ohio, is the same law that was passed across the United States over 100 years ago. Those same laws, those exact same laws against the same people eventually led up to the Japanese internment. Those laws, most of those laws, were not repealed until after 1965. And we'll talk about that, okay? So, what we're talking about is something that is on top of nearly 200 years of anti-Chinese, anti-Asian laws passed in this country at the federal, state, and local levels, right? I think a lot of Asian people Chinese people come to this country thinking that everything is great, everything is fine. It has always been great for our people. It has not. This country, up until 1965, continuously passed anti-Chinese, anti-Japanese laws again and again and again at every level of government. And it is important for you and your community to understand that. The brief period between 1965 and about the early 2000s, where there was no anti-Chinese law passed, that was the exception and not the rule. Okay. Every single time, the rise of anti-Asian laws were in response to the increase in immigration of Asian immigrants, not always Chinese. It is every time there's been a large influx of Asians, people start passing these laws. What's happening right now? There is a large influx. Asian Americans are now the fastest growing community in the whole country, the fastest growing immigrant group, growing at a rate even higher than Latino. Okay? And I want to be very clear about this. In the past, these laws were passed because of the rise in population at the same time. There have been Asian people in this country for over 250 years, since before the American Revolution. The first Asians in this country were Filipinos. And there's been many Asians here since up until the 1800s. But they were very small populations, small communities, never became a problem, never got noticed. Until the 1800s. In the 1800s, gold rush, railroad, lots of Chinese, lots of Japanese coming to this country to do work. But the thing is, when they were dying on the railroad, dying in the gold mines, nobody cared. When they started caring was about the 1850s. When the railroad was done, when the gold mining was done, and Chinese people had money saved up, Japanese people had money saved up. And so they bought businesses and they ran their businesses and they did really, really well. And they started putting other people out of business and started buying up the other businesses, the white people's business. Then it was a problem, right? And so on this slide, I really want to show you, since 1965, our community has basically doubled in population every 10 years, right? The red line on the graph is when we started looking at anti-Asian laws, when the anti-alien land laws. We call them the alien land laws, but in case you did not understand what the real intent, the correct legal name from 100 years ago were anti-alien land laws. Anti-alien land laws. These are laws passed against immigrants. So right now in America, the Asian population is doubling every decade, and that rate of growth is actually increasing. On the right side, that's just Chinese population by itself, right? 1980s, only about 370,000. Then that doubles. 2000s, it doubles again. It's nearly 1.2 million. By 2021, we're at 2.3 million, right? And this is not just a problem. Just like there was a problem in the 1800s when Chinese people started getting money and started competing against everyone else. When Asians first started coming, when my family came in the 80s, there was just some Asian people, some Chinese people here. There were a few valedictorians here and there. It was interesting. People thought it was really cool, and they don't really know Asian people. They thought Asian people were pretty cool. And then 1990s rolled around, and the population got even bigger. You look across the world, and there were a lot more Chinese and other Asian valedictorians, and more Asian people going to Harvard. 2000s roll around. 2010s roll around. A few years ago, I was dealing with a problem in my district. one of our local high schools they needed to determine who was the true valedictorian out of 18 valedictorians, 18 co-valedictorians, who was the true number one. That wasn't the problem. The problem was, of their 18 valedictorians, 16 of them were Asian, right? Not a problem for those students, but it's a problem going forward because you take a look at the Harvard population. Black and Latino population in Harvard, at Yale, and all the top schools, and most universities have been relatively stable, flat. They're still below what the population average is, and about the same every time. But the number of Asians in Harvard and Yale, 30%, almost 40%. UC Berkeley, almost all the UC schools, Asian population is 40+%. UC Berkeley is 44, 46%, right? Harvard, Yale, all those things. Here's the problem. When the population grows, let's talk about just Harvard. Who are we displacing? Who is being kicked out? It's not Black. It's not Latino. Their numbers are still flat. And it's not even all white people. It's white people who were only at Harvard because of money and power. Because the ones who had the skills, the ones who had the grades, were still competitive. The ones who were only there because of their family's name, they're the ones losing their place. And Asian population from the 1980s to now at Harvard went from almost 0% to 30, 40%. Think about who is going to be upset by that. Think about when you look at hiring now, the big companies, the top positions, IT departments, engineering departments, who is applying for those jobs now? Those jobs used to be all 100% white. Who is losing those jobs and who is gaining those jobs? And now you can understand why people are doing what they're doing. It's the same thing as the past. It's competition. They don't like it. Okay? Think about the history of this country. So if you look at the top, if you have not heard of it, in 1882, the United States passed the first law that weaponized immigration law, federal immigration law, against a single group of people, or a specific group of people. And that is the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. Never before in the nation has the federal government targeted one group of people or several groups of people. And that law specifically said Chinese and Japanese people may not come to this country, right? But because they don't really know what the difference is between Chinese, Japanese, and all other Asians, and they don't really care, what the Chinese Exclusion Act ended up doing was ban all Asians from this country. From 1882 to 1965, only 105 Asian people were allowed into this country per year. 105. Okay? But they didn't start in 1882. It actually started a few years before. A few years before, they didn't ban all Chinese people. They just banned Chinese women. Why just women? Why not everybody? Why just women? Because they talked about our people like we were rats, vermin, a pest, a useful pest that has to be dealt with. We need them to work and die here, but we don't want them to breed. And then after 1882, that law remained on the books even up until World War II. And during World War II, the Japanese openly laughed at the Chinese, saying, how can you fight with the Americans? The Americans have a law that says you cannot even come into their country. All right? And so the United States government in 1943 repealed, on paper at least, repealed the Chinese Exclusion Act. But here's a problem. They repealed it on paper, but they kept all of the rules in place by policy. I want you to understand how much someone has to hate you to repeal a law only on paper, but take the force of will, take their mental energy to make sure that those policies stayed in place, to make sure that you stayed out of this country. And it was not until after 1965, after the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1974, was the Chinese Exclusion Act fully repealed, right? And after that repeal, the door was open for Chinese immigration again. And every year, every 10 years, the population doubles. And so there's a lot more to discuss on here, but I'm gonna move on a little more because we're running out of time. I wanna make sure you understand that in the past, these were not just people who said, we don't like Chinese people, we don't like Asians. They didn't just hate you at home. These are all laws. On the right, on the left, this is a state constitutional change. They hated Asian people so much, they changed and rewrote their constitution to keep you out. On the right is the first anti-alien land law passed by California. It always starts in California because that's where the Asian population is. They said that Chinese and Japanese people could not own property, and that they rented, they could not rent anywhere more than 3 years at a time. Here in Texas, the law that we passed said that you cannot rent more than 1 year at a time. That we just passed. Okay. Again, look at the very bottom of the slide. These laws were not repealed until 1946, and then was 1952. These laws were in place almost 100 years. This is an old slide now because this is now passed. These are all the states. This is all the states in the past that put into their laws that Chinese people were excluded from their state, that Chinese people and Japanese people could not own property in their state. Most of these stayed on the books until after 1952. And it's not just land ownership. It never stops at land. What they will say next is, again, the whole point of them passing these laws is saying, we don't want you here, get out. Well, how else can they tell you to get out? Well, you can't go to school. You can't get education. Here, back then, black people went to one school, and white people went to another school, and Asian people went nowhere. And in California, this is 100 years, a long time ago, in California, they had a law that says, well, Japanese people are not allowed to go to school. The Japanese children are not allowed to go to school. And so a Chinese family came in and said, hey, we're not Japanese, we're Chinese, we should be able to go to school. The court said, hey, you're right. They're not Japanese, they should be allowed to go. Do you know what the state did the next year? The state immediately came back and passed a law that says no Chinese either. Over and over again, we have seen these laws passed, right? I want you to show the first one. 1880, a U.S. Court of Appeals recognized in 1880 that the attacks on Chinese people were unconstitutional, were a violation of the Constitution. It was recognized in the 1880s, but they still passed the laws anyways. And most of these laws were not repealed, were not taken down until the 20th century. Until after almost 100 years, right? So where are we today? Look, this slide used to be the Texas bill, but now it's Ohio bill, right? This is what the Ohio bill is no different than about every other state. They just reword it in different ways. They use different terms and different phrases, but it has the same effect. In fact, I think Ohio has one thing that's actually worse is we have provision that is retroactive. Yeah, right. On Senate Bill 888, mandatory divestment of all interest within 2 years, including retroactivity. That means that no matter how long you've owned that property, the government will take it from you, which is the same thing that happened during World War II during the Japanese internment. So I want to point out one thing. This is a fight that I know I have arguments with our own community members. They say, "Oh, this is national security. This is about safety." Of course, we have to deal with Chinese people. This is about safety. They're all a threat. But my point, what I want to tell you is, we've done this before. We've done this exact same thing before. The exact same arguments, the exact same public national security arguments. Everything's been made. In World War II, the exact same phrases, the exact same terms were said about the Japanese. Today they say, "Oh, Chinese people, they can't help themselves. They can only be loyal to the CCP." Guess what? In World War II, they said the same thing about Japanese people. They say, "Oh, everyone knows Japanese people can only be loyal to the emperor." Come on, everybody knows that. Even if they have just one drop of Japanese blood, they have to be loyal to the emperor. They can't help themselves. There's something wrong with them. And if you think that being a citizen will protect you, if you think that American laws will protect you, remember the quote of General John DeWitt. This is the general in charge of all of the Western concentration camps for Japanese people in America. This is not a one-time quote. He says this quote many, many times, over and over again. A Jap's a Jap. It makes no difference whether he's an American citizen or not. He's saying that by the nature of Asian people, the nature of Japanese people, the nature of Chinese people, they cannot help themselves. There's something wrong with these people. Just look at them. They're using the same exact language to attack us today and to justify these laws. And you have to be prepared to respond to it. It was wrong then, it is wrong now. So the reason I want to point this out is to make a very important point. There are people that I've talked to about this presentation, about this law, and they say, "What's the big deal? It's fine. It's just a law. It's just property ownership." Let me put it this way. This law says point blank that we are a threat to the state and a threat to the nation. Let me ask you, if you were told that you had a threat at home, a threat to the life and safety of your family, do you ignore the threat? Do you compromise with a threat? Do you hope the threat just goes away and don't do anything? Or do you make sure that threat is completely eliminated and was never into your home again? Think about what you would do. Over and over again, what these laws are doing is telling Americans that Asian people, that Chinese people are a direct threat to their life and safety. There is only one way that this ends. If we are labeled as threats, both in public and by these laws, there is only one outcome. You do not leave a threat in place. You get rid of it. But I'm gonna skip this. And this is now the outdated law. So this is the current anti-alien land laws in effect. This list is actually much bigger now. This list now is more than half the states in the nation. Now, not all of these bills are as bad as Texas, as bad as Ohio. Something like Virginia's doesn't do a whole lot, and it's relatively harmless. But don't forget, they can go and change these bills today, tomorrow, the next day, right? But more than half the states in the nation have now put restrictions on land ownership by Chinese immigrants. This used to be a slide that I would have to try to convince people that I'm not joking around. Like, this is not theory, this is not hyperbole. Like, you don't know how to say this anymore. It's happening. You guys are watching it. You're watching it happen every single day. You're watching Alligator Alcatraz. You think that they're not going to put us in concentration camps? They are already building the current concentration camps at the locations of the old concentration camps. I want you to understand the mindset of the people, not Trump, of the people who are pushing Trump's policies, pushing this policy. I want you to understand. Think about my comments about Harvard at the beginning. Now listen to this and think about how that plays together.
Donald Trump, when you're so into facts, because his entire campaign is not based in facts. It was all based in propaganda and emotion.
I voted for Donald Trump for one reason only. His policies, if implemented, would slow the dispossession of whites in the United States. If he were to deport all illegal immigrants, if he were to think very hard about letting in any Muslims, all of this would slow the rate at which whites are becoming a minority.
Why are you so worried about the white dispossession of America?
Because I want my people to survive. Is that so strange? We don't control China. We don't control any place where whites are not a majority. And if we become a minority, we will not control our own destiny anymore.
I grew up in this country as a minority, as the children of immigrants. I was their first child born in America. And while I didn't have much possession or didn't much control, I really enjoyed myself. And I think that if you ask a lot of Americans, they would say that I had a lot to offer this country. You know, according to you, I guess I would be perpetuating the dispossession of white America.
That is true. That is true.
Would you say that you wouldn't want me in this country?
At some point, when my ancestors built this nation, they did not build it with the intention of giving it away to Mexicans or Chinese or Asians or anyone else.
I hope you listened very carefully to that, because what it's saying is that there are people who are very powerful in this country who genuinely believe that your presence, that the presence of Chinese people, of Latinos, of Black people, getting anything is stealing from them, because America only belongs to them. Because America was God's gift to them, that America was created solely for white people to be in charge and to have everything. I know that this is not a comfortable subject to talk about, and it seems far-fetched. But think about what he says in the context of this law in Ohio. This law is literally saying to all immigrants, saying to Chinese immigrants, you're not welcome here, get out. And later there will be other laws that said that recognize that many Indians, many Chinese come here because of education and come here to study. They will block those paths. Those bills have already been filed. Florida has passed their bill. We had the similar bill filed in Texas. It's going to come. In Texas, we passed a law that says even if a Chinese immigrant student qualifies for in-state tuition, they will not get in-state tuition. Get out. This is the message, and I hope you hear it before it is too late. I know that people take issue with me saying and using imagery and history of the Japanese internment. People say we will never go that far. We know better. We've learned better. We're better people now. Really? In the last 80 years since these pictures were taken, have human beings suddenly developed bigger brains? Are we less violent? Are we less bigoted? Are we less hateful? Do we fight fewer wars over nonsense? For no reasons? Have we stopped bombing hospitals and children? Do not take this lightly. The message to the community needs to be strong and it needs to be serious. There is a very real world in the future where our children may have to look down the barrel of a gun as they tell our families to get on a truck. We've done it once, we can do it again. And every single time we pass one of these types of laws, it makes this reality a little bit easier. So I hope you listen carefully, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And let me end with this. If you want to know how you can help moving forward, here are the 3 steps. It's easy. These are my 3 steps to do everything. Educate. Educate yourself. Learn as much history as you can about what our people have gone through in this country. Then go educate your community. These slides are all available to you. I'm happy to share all my work with you. Take it and use it however you want. Translate it all in the Chinese. We have some Chinese translation already. Right? Go to your community, tell them what's going on, tell them what the fight is, and tell them if they do not fight, no one else will come fight for them. And then the next thing to do is figure out how they will go home, how they will go back to China, because that day is coming. Second, organize your community. Find everyone that says, I agree with you. I am scared of this too. Let's fight. Get everyone you know, get them together. You organize them. Whether it's a chat group, whether it's a text group, whether it's an email group, I don't care. Whether it's the ladies you play mahjong with. If there's a group of people that you know that care about this issue, get together and make sure they know what's going on. And get ready for number 3. Number 3 is take action. Do something. Whether that is something big or something small, I need everyone to do something. If Ohio says we're going to have a march and a protest, I want everybody who is educated and organized to be out there and marching along and protesting as well. Okay? All right. I think that's it.
Wow, thank you so much, Jing. It's a mind blowing. We
Happy to
have
take
some
questions.
we have some questions already pre-submitted, and I'll start with those questions, and then we'll have more questions from the audience. And the first question: how did early exclusion laws shape long-term patterns of this discriminatory bills against Asian immigrants in the United States?
Yeah, so the first laws did a couple of things. Well, it banned our people from this country. The Chinese Exclusion Act. I mean, the immigration of Chinese and Japanese people in America in the 1800s went like this to 0. So you guys have heard of paper sons? The paper sons in America, right? So because of the Chinese Exclusion Act, the only way that people could come into the country was to say that this is for family reunification. So we have all these Chinese people who say, hey, I'm a Yang too. See, I have a piece of paper that says this is a long lost cousin that you never knew about, right? So all these Chinese people came over. So if you meet them in Houston, it's a G family, huge G family, been here 100 years. Most of their cousins are paper sons. They are related by name only. So that's not the point. The point is, our people were banned from this country from 1800s to the 1960s. What most people knew about Asians was just Asian people who have been here for 60, 70 years. That's what they knew. They've never known real Asian culture, Asian food, right? And only a few people could come in each year. The second thing that it did that was really important was it set up a history and pattern of discrimination. Because along with the law, with the Chinese Exclusion Act, there's another law that passed that says that in the United States, there are only two groups of people that are not allowed to become naturalized, are not allowed to become citizens if they were not born here. Guess who those two groups were? Chinese and Japanese. So what happened in the future was, since that law banned Chinese and Japanese people from becoming citizens, all states in the future, well, not all, most states in the future simply said, we're not discriminating against Chinese or Japanese people. We're just saying people who are not eligible to become citizens cannot own property, right? So it's the way, like the way they're couching it right now, the way we're putting the bill. Oh, this bill isn't against Chinese people; it's against Chinese citizens. Without explaining that every immigrant is a citizen of their country until the day they become a U.S. citizen. It is part of your job to educate your own community to say, no, they say Chinese citizen, but what they really mean is all immigrants until you become a citizen. And remember, being a citizen does not protect you. Remember what they've done in the past. What is the difference between somebody with a green card and a Chinese immigrant who's become a citizen for 2 years? What's the difference? What's the difference to the people who hate us out there? Nothing. Our citizenship didn't matter in the past. It won't matter in the future. When they come for us, they will come for us. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's very good. So Professor Ha had a very good question, and she was asking, I think many Chinese people are scared and afraid to speak up. And so what would you recommend to do?
Yeah.
Any actions, how to eliminate the fear?
If you're scared of speaking publicly, then speak privately. At the very minimum, you should be talking to each other, talking to your family, talking to your friends. When I went to Tennessee, to talk to them about their bill, Tennessee has a huge research community, very, very large research community, almost all Chinese. And they did not even know that their bill had passed. They did not even know that their law had passed, right? And all of them tell me, well, I'm a researcher. I cannot be out protesting. I'll get in trouble. My university will fire me, right? I say that's fine. You have a very large number of colleagues who are all Chinese as well. Have you talked to them? And they said, no. Well, start there. Don't worry about the protests. I mean, worry about the protests after everybody at home already knows what's going on, right? And if all the Chinese researchers are out protesting, who can they fire, right? Talk about this at home first if you are scared about talking about it publicly.
Great. Actually, this question is from me, and because this bill's both House HB1 and SB 888 is
Yeah.
talking about putting so much emphasis on national security. So even though assuming we give a benefit of the doubt and say this is a legitimate concern, and what is the alternative and other ways state policymakers could have come up with different bills and laws and still
Yeah.
avoiding collective punishment based on
Right.
the national origin?
I would say to people, especially if you talk to the media, is to not engage with them in that discussion. Okay? Because I think you say, well, what you're actually, when we get into this national security argument, what we're actually saying is, well, can we be a little bit less discriminatory? Can we just have a little bit of unconstitutional discrimination against Chinese people, right? What our message needs to be is, excuse me, in the United States, under the Constitution of the United States, when you treat an entire community as having one characteristic because of your racial stereotypes, that's illegal. That's called discrimination, and the Constitution says that's illegal, right? We will not accept discrimination. If we want to have a conversation about national security, it should be held at the national level. What the hell does Ohio have to do with national security? I know they think that they're very important, but you have no role in national security. What is the basis of making decisions? Watching YouTube videos? Twitter? Does Ohio have its own CIA? Does it have its own NSA? Do they have a military intelligence that we don't know about? Right? So this idea, the very idea that they want to have a discussion about national security is like, are you an idiot? What is your role in national security? What do you think you know that the federal government does not know? Right? And here's the ultimate, here's a more detailed response if you need. Look, the federal government has what is called the FISA, has what's called FISA. It's the Federal Investment, National Security Investment Committee, right? It is a committee of high-level, national security level people who look at every investment over $1 million in the United States to make sure that it is okay. That is their job. They do their job very well, right? And so the state of Ohio says, we know better than the people who have the expertise, the training, and the knowledge to actually do national security, but we're better than them. This is not about national security, is always the response. This is about telling Chinese people they are not welcome in this country anymore. They do not want your children to compete with their children. They do not want your children to compete with your children for the jobs that they used to get.
How come certain states, you said Virginia actually has a less restrictive bills
Because
versus Ohio's?
I mean, Ohio is more conservative. Virginia
Oh,
is almost 50-50,
I see.
right? And there were people who knew. So like most states pass a law against ownership include green card holders. Texas does not. Do you know why? Because we pushed back against it so hard. They tried to put green card holders back into the law. The Republicans blocked it themselves, right? Because we made such a big deal of it. We took because our community was so aware of what was going on that if they had included green card holders, people would go ballistic. At least when they say, "Oh, this is just against visa holders," they can at least say, "Well, you know, we're not against the Chinese community." If they included green card holders in Texas, there would be people in the streets, which we probably should have had. People in the streets would have helped, right?
Yeah.
So Virginia, I don't know the full history of their bill, but I would say somebody over there knows better and try to make it safe, right? And so I don't know how Ohio is going to turn out. But here's my guess. If the Asian community in Ohio can rally the other communities and this becomes a huge, huge mess for them, and they're getting phone calls and letters, and at the same time that they're fighting the redistricting stuff, they're getting hate mail and people protesting for that as well, they may say, hey, this is a lot of bad stuff to take on right before what? What happens in 2026? Midterm elections, right? We're about to go into midterm elections. We're about to go into recession. The country is about to go into recession. Trump is doing stuff that people hate every single day, and Republicans are helping him do it. I mean, the response to them is, hey, are you sure you're wanting to make an entire community mad at you? Because maybe the Chinese people aren't voting now, but you pass this bill, they will vote. Right? Use that as a threat. As a part of this event, make everybody who is ready, who is a citizen, sign up to vote. Have everyone write their names down. Once they sign up to vote, have them write their names out. My name is so-and-so. I'm a US citizen. I just registered to vote, and I promise I will vote against every Republican that votes for this bill. I will sign up to vote just to vote against the Republicans who touch this bill. If it's 100 people, it's 100 people. If it's 500 people, it's 500 people. If it's 5,000, holy crap, 5,000 is a margin of victory in a lot of races. Hell, 500 is a margin of victory. You show me 500 new Chinese surname voters who did not vote last time. It says we were 500 people in Cleveland alone. And we will vote against any Republican that touches this bill. Or maybe all Republicans if you pass this. There are two ways, right? Carrot, stick. You can try carrot, but I'm telling you carrot is not working anymore. Try stick. Use threats, but make them real threats. You can tell them, hey, maybe the Chinese community by themselves will not be able to upset you too much. But what if we join with the Vietnamese community, and we join with the Koreans, and we join with the Japanese, and then we join with the Muslims, and then we join with the Latinos, and then we join with the Black people? You think that's enough now? Yeah. Let me just say this. I've said this repeatedly. The Chinese community, the Asian community, is the fastest growing population in America. It's not just the fastest growing population, it's also the fastest growing voter population. The next election, 2026, 2028, the Asian community is the margin of victory. Say that out loud until you mean it, and then you go talk to all those Republicans, and you look them in the eyes as, do you understand? In the next election cycles, the Asian community will be the margin of victory. Do you want to win or do you want to lose? Right? And you mean it. And you say, we are going to spend every effort that we have. If you pass this bill, we'll spend every effort between now and November 2026, finding every single Chinese person, every single Asian person who can register to vote, and they will vote, and we will tell them to vote against every Republican. We'll tell them to donate to Democrats. We'll go find every Chinese donor on Republican donor lists, and we will tell them to stop. Do it. Call them up. I'll tell you, this is my story. I'm sorry, I'm so long on this. I'm sorry, I'm sort of in a rage. But in 2023, when we fought this the first time, one of the senators that we were dealing with was carrying Bill SB 711, which was a alternative alien land law. Like, we didn't catch it for a long time because they wrote it in a really strange way, and we're like, we weren't sure until we looked at it closely and said, oh, this is an alien land law, right? And he had his bill heard at the exact same time as the other bills, and 24 hours after he heard his bill in committee, he calls my cell phone and says, come to my office. And I'm like, shit, he's gonna punch me in the face for calling him a racist, right? And so I go to his office. I'm like, He stands up, shakes my hand, and says, Gene, I promise you, I will not move this bill. I will not vote for the other bill, and we will never do this again. I'm like, what? What happened? He wouldn't say what happened. But in my experience, in my line of work, that usually only happens when one thing happens. And that is a very large donor called and said, what the hell are you doing? If you vote for this, you will never get money from me again. Right? Go find all the Chinese people who donate to Republicans. Ask them, go confront them, go talk to them, saying, this is what they're doing. Even if it does not affect you today, it will affect you tomorrow. Are you okay with the Republicans putting a target on your children's back? Are you okay with that? You're satisfied with that. You can live with that. They're making us second-class citizens. They're telling us to get out. Are you okay with that? You want to fund that? You want to spend your money? Okay? Confront them. I'm telling the same thing to the Muslim community. We have a lot in Texas. We have a lot of big Muslim guys who donate to the Republicans, and the Republicans pass law after law against their community, and they say nothing. And we didn't tell the community. The community needs to ask them the next time they host a gala, when they're the chair of the gala, say, why did you give money to people who hate our community? And tell us to get out. I think everyone needs to start doing that. This is a time we're no longer in fighting over politics. We are now fighting for our lives. We are fighting for the future of our home. Either our home is here or it is somewhere else. If you do not defend the home here, then you better start looking for a home somewhere else. That's it. Either fight or lay down.
That is so powerful. I'm so fired up. I think that's a perfect time to let Vincent talk about our rally, because there's no other ways. We need to gather all of you guys. You guys, I believe everybody has at least 10 friends. So even we have 50 now, we can expand it to 500. 500 can be 5,000. I believe you guys have that power. Okay,
And
Vincent.
especially
Go ahead, please.
if you know people who have businesses that would be affected, get those stories out to people now, right? If you know someone that says, hey, they're a big corporate business partner, they're an investor, they're going to be affected by this law. The Senate bill is retroactive. That means that even if you bought the property 20 years ago, but you fall under the law now, you have to give the property to the state. They're going to come take all your stuff. Go and tell everyone, if you are affected by this, speak up now before they take your stuff. Sorry.
That's perfect. Vincent, do you have your hand up?
Sorry,
You
there's
have your
one
hand up?
more question. There's one more question in the question and answer area.
Oh, okay.
me
Let
check.
me see.
2 questions.
I got time, so.
Okay,
Thank you.
where's the question? Oh, I see. So you may have already covered this, but I'm going to ask anyway. Many people in Chinese community, especially those who haven't been naturalized, and feel compelled to take action. However, given the current political climate, ICE, of course, deportation threat. Many are fearful that those far right people will take them down and
Yeah.
single them out.
Yeah.
So what is your suggestion on this?
My statement to everyone is always safety first. Okay. If you do not feel safe, only do what you feel is safe. I cannot answer that question for everybody. Everyone's situation is different. Everyone's immigration status is different. So I will not say do this or do that. Do what you feel is safe. At the same time, this is also a time to be brave. We're asked to fight. Fighting is never easy. Fighting is always dangerous. Whether a real fight or a fight in politics or a fight here, there is always some level of danger. But what we're asking everyone to do is be a little brave, because we're not fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for our families. We're fighting for the future of our country. We're fighting for our community, right? Be a little brave. And if you feel brave enough, come out and do stuff, come out and join the rally. This is still America. I still believe in the First Amendment. I still believe in the freedom of speech. I still believe that our society, our courts will ultimately do the right thing and protect people who are exercising their rights. But at the same time, I know these are dangerous times and things are crazy. But even if you don't feel like you can't go out, help us at home. Share the information. Talk to people in the community. Talk to people quietly in the background. Share, educate, organize, take action. Education and organization don't have to be outside. They can be quiet. They can be at home. They can be over the internet. They can be on your phone. Education can be quiet. If you are afraid, spend all your time educating as many people as possible. If you are a citizen, you can vote, you can donate. If you are a green card holder, you cannot vote, but you can donate. Let me say that one more time. Green card holders can donate. Hint, hint. Okay? Visa holders cannot donate and they cannot vote, but they can speak. They still have a right to free speech. They have a right to organize. They can still take action of some kind. Just be safe. That's it. All right? Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. I hope things do not get worse. But whatever we do, there will always be some level of danger, because if you love something, you are willing to sacrifice for it. If you truly care about something, you are willing to take on risks and dangers for it. Like you would sacrifice to fight for your family, for your loved ones. If you love this country, you love being here, if this is truly your home, be willing to sacrifice.
Jean, I can feel the passion. I can just feel the passion even through the screen. Professor Ha, do you want to just speak? And I'll just unmute you. Are you able to unmute yourself?
So
Vincent,
before Professor Ha figure out the technical issue, I have a question, Jim, for you before we
Sure.
show people the rally flyer. So that was asked by so many people in the groups. So
Yeah.
they said, for example, in Ohio, these bills are only impacting people who are not U.S. citizens. So if I'm a U.S. citizen already, do I need to really care about this and I'm safe?
Yes. Because if I have not said it enough times tonight, being a citizen does not protect you. It did not protect us in the past. It will not protect us going into the future. I promise you that. And this is the reason why. Because, again, the reason of why all of these laws are dangerous, laws about land ownership, laws about employment, laws about education, laws about immigration, on its face, none of them by themselves are a huge danger. But the problem is every time one of those laws is passed, what it does is, like, think of it as like a missile that hits the ground below our feet. And every time it hits the ground gets a little softer, and you start to sink into the ground. And after the ground gets so soft, somebody can come up below you and go, and by the time people look around and say, hey, is everyone okay? Is everyone okay? Oh, everyone's okay. No one said anything. Why? You're not even the person that is deserving of protection anymore because you're now below them. You're now second class. Every time one of these laws passes, it says to the community, it says to the public, there's something wrong with these people. We're not really sure what's wrong with them, but we're just going to pass this law just in case. And then another one, and then another one, and then another one. After a while, the government says, you know what? We're just going to be extra careful with these people. We're going to put them, they're going to stay in their own community. We're just going to put a fence around the community. And then they can still come and go, but they have to check with us before they come and go out of their community, right? And people will say, well, isn't that just a concentration camp? But people go, well, I mean, yeah, but look at all the laws that we passed against them. There has to be something wrong with them. If there wasn't something wrong with these people, why did we need to pass all these laws against them? Right? The point of this, of why it's so dangerous, why I keep talking about the Japanese internment, is that every time one of these laws passes, it says, as a whole, all of these people with the yellow skin and the slanted eyes, there is something wrong with them. It's not something wrong with them until they become a citizen. It's there is something wrong with them that we cannot fix, that makes them a threat. What do you do with threats? Right? Even if you say, I am immune from this law today, they can change the law tomorrow, right? This is why one of the reasons I am keeping an eye on Ohio so much, because of the retroactive provision. That's the provision I'm scared of. The retroactive provision says we can go back in time for as long as we want and take everything you ever owned. That's the same thing they did to the Japanese in World War II. When the executive order went into effect, all these states already had laws put into the book. Says the day that they are put into camps, all of the property belongs to us now. And that's what they did. The Japanese Americans during World War II lost every single thing. Every bank account, every house, every farm, every car, anything that was not inside of a suitcase, they lost. They didn't lose, it didn't go poof. The government took it and sold it to their friends. And this time it's not a farm. You talk to people and you say, you want to buy a $3 billion petrochemical plant for cheap? Let's go. They can go to their friends and say, hey, you want to buy some Chinese property real cheap? Yeah, let's do it. There's a financial... Citizenship does not protect us. Again, I'm going to say that one more time.
Okay, Hongmei, do you have a question? Are you able to unmute yourself? Then we're gonna transition to
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead, Hongmei.
okay. So I have a question. Actually,
Thanks, Jingwu, for such a powerful talk. And what you said is really important for the community. So my question, I talk with a lot of people, and then a lot of people actually, they say, oh, well, if they want us to leave, I'm going to leave, right? So if, because those people actually, they are mobile and they are able to go to other countries or go to other places. And so what are you going to say to them, to these people? They say, okay, if they don't want us to be here, then we will leave.
Yeah, no, I mean, but that's bad for everybody. I mean, I get that. Houston has a large Chinese expat population. I mean, this is like the Samsung plant in Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Like, Trump had ICE raid the Samsung or LG or Samsung, I can't remember which one, they plant, and they had like 500 Koreans there who were working to set up the plant, and he had them arrested and kicked out of the country, and now they're begging for them to come back, and nobody is coming back. Nobody's willing to come back, and that plant is screwed now. That community is toast. They're cooked, because Samsung will never get this plant operational. Because those workers are the only ones who can get it operational. American workers can't do that because they don't have the training. That's why they're getting trained to do it. So this has already caused long-term damage that we are not yet able to see. In Texas, not this time, last time, in 2023, when we tried to pass this law, other businesses already said we were planning to consider Texas as a possible investment location. They took it, we didn't pass the bill last time, but they still took Texas off the list. Because you can't trust them to not pass it the next year. Once you open this door, you can never close it. Even the states that said, hey, we're not retroactive and it doesn't matter. You passed this bill against us for no reason. And you can change it to whatever you want in the future. What if we made the $2 billion investment? And then the next year you say, hey, we're going to go back and take whatever you put in.
Yeah.
Who would do that? Who would agree to that?
So my question actually is how to mobilize the Chinese community, because a lot of people just feel, okay,
Fear.
it's just,
Fear.
yeah, because they say, okay, if we don't have to stay here. We don't have to stay in Ohio. We can go to other places.
Yeah.
And so I feel that's another way for people really to deal with this situation. They say, okay, this is so bad. We can go to Asia. We can go to another place. And why do we have to stay in this horrible place if things become so bad, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, and the objective is to fight for our house, fight for our home before the home is completely on fire, right? Right now, I'm telling you, I'm knocking, like you're knocking on the door very loudly and telling other community members, hey, there's a fire in the house right now. You can feel the heat, you can see the light. Either come with us and help us put out the fire, or we all need to leave right now, right? And the people who can leave, that's a very small percentage. I mean, I'm pretty well off. I don't have the ability to just get up and leave, right? I don't have that kind of money. So, yeah.
Wes, do you have a question? Thank you so much, Hongmei.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, Gene, what about the folks that say, hey, I'll just move to another state?
So actually, I forgot to bring up this point. That brings us to a more depressing thing is now that most of the states have passed this law, where this is going next is Congress. And while we can challenge state laws for violating the 10th Amendment and saying that they're doing things that only Congress can do, once Congress passes this type of law, there is no argument against it. It will be legal. And whether it's a violation of constitutional discrimination laws, that's harder, right? So right now I don't need Ohio involved in the fight on the national level because you guys have to fight your own law first. But when you guys are done with your law, we will be organizing the entire national Asian community to go fight this in DC.
Thank you.
Vincent, now I can
Thanks,
let
Paul.
you to have the, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jean, for the educational and also inspirational presentation, and also answering so many great questions. It's a great job, Paul, for moderating the questions. I know due to technical issue with the chat room being disabled, a lot of people wanted to ask questions, but they were unable to. We'll leverage your recording and also presentation to continue the conversation with everyone in different venues, in person and in chat rooms, and also in family rooms as well. Thank you so much for your dedication to our community. This is so important, so urgent that everybody speaks out, raise our voice, because there's no label. Everybody, you are a Asian, you are a Japanese, you are Chinese, or you are citizen or not citizen. So we are all together in this battle. We definitely need to speak up. And also, to your point, if you don't say anything, you don't have voice at the table, you're on the menu. You are going to be toasted. So I'm going to share 3 slides as our next action plans, and I hope everybody can really spread the word, take actions yourself, and also encourage people around you to take actions. So first slide I'm going to share is the rally flyer on 27th. That is exactly, actually less than 1 week from now. That will be next week, next Saturday, 27th, 1 to 3 p.m. People's Rally against House Bill 1 and Senate Bill 88. We had a very good showing for the hearings for H1B and the SB 88 back in May and June. We had a great rally on June 24th under the heat of 100 degrees. We had close to 400 people riding at the State House last time. So we are doing the rally at the same location around the State House. Hopefully we have more people showing up to show our voice, show our strength, show our unity, and raise alarms about this bill and stop these bills. So also here's the link. Feel free to take a screenshot and scan the QR code and share with your friends. We have 14 organizations as organizers and co-organizers for this rally. So we're going to have a great time, and we also have team members share the parking details in the groups, and also it is a good opportunity for people to take family members, your kids, your seniors to all be there, because it's good weather in Ohio at this time. And also our leader Yin put together a family guide for everyone. She's going to share that in different groups in the next couple of days. And not only you can do the rally, you can get people to attend other activities as well. She's working with the Asian restaurants to give everybody discount if you are part of the rally. And also there are family activities around that time as well. You can really put this together as a whole package for your family to not only have fun during a weekend, and also make your voice heard, make our community proud of you and your family as well. And I want to make sure everybody is aware we have our rally shirt available now. Let me make sure that I advance to the next slide. As you can see, our great model, Guan, she and we visited the store that made all those shirts. We have the shirts in both his place and my place. And make sure you click the ready sign up link to reserve all the shirt. Make sure you can get the right sizes before the rally, because the rally day there will be a lot of chaos, and people will come and go and trying to pick up shirts. So do that early, and get hold of the shirt size you want. And in the meantime, a lot of people was asking about how they can support in addition to showing up in person and also encourage their friends. If you have the means, feel free to log on to justiceforohio.org/donate to provide whatever donation you feel comfortable with and support our rally, because we are making the shirts available for free to everybody. And also we are putting the rally and incurring other costs as well. So hopefully you can support in any way you can. Make sure you encourage people to show up. In addition to that, to prepare for the rally, we're going to have a Ohio-wide all-hands call on Thursday, 25th, 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. On the screen, there's a Zoom link there, QR code associated with the Zoom link. Make sure you take a screenshot, and I'll share with everybody who is who has committed already or still thinking about it. And we are going to not only share why we want to do the rally, and also a lot of rally details on the day, what's going to happen, what speakers, and we are talking to Columbus Police and also security companies as well to make sure we have a safe and secure event for our community members. And so that is definitely on top of a lot of people's mind. So we are going to have a very robust measure to make sure everybody is safe. And so this is our call for actions. Hopefully we can take it home. And also we're going to share the recording of today's call and also Jean's PowerPoint presentation. I think there's a lot of good points we want to revisit. Feel free to share the recording link and also the presentation slides as well. Thank you so much, everyone. Hopefully you have a great weekend and also have a great week ahead. And hope to see you soon at the rally.
Thank you so much, Jane.
Thanks.
Appreciate it
Yeah.
for your
Thanks
time.
again, Jane.
And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
I'll see you in the rally.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.